Imagine two people waking up this morning in the same city. One is named Dave. He opens his broker app and sees that his portfolio has reached an all-time high. The other is named Mike. That same morning, he stands in line at a pawn shop holding his wife's wedding ring, afraid it won't be accepted as collateral. This isn't two different decades or two different continents. It's the same week. Maybe even the same street. The S&P 500 index, the main barometer of the US economy, just hit one of its all-time highs. The news reports it as if the economy has bloomed for everyone. But at the same time, pawn shop chains are reporting record profits, not a drop, not stagnation, but record profits and record growth in the number of loans. Think about this for a second. Pawn shops are thriving, not because people are completely impoverished. They are thriving because people are still holding on, but on their last breath. And the strangest thing, the people standing in these pawn shop lines are increasingly not the unemployed or the marginalized. These are people with salaries from $60,000 to $100,000 a year. Engineers, nurses, managers, those you are used to calling the middle class. Mike is one of them. They pawn their work tools, laptops, jewelry, not because they are poor, but because they need to survive until their next paycheck. My name is Wick, and today we will break down one of the most alarming paradoxes of this year. Why is the stock market setting records, while the ordinary person feels broke? Where did all these good news about the economy go? This gap between Wall Street and real life already has a name. It is called the despair spread. A spread is a difference. Despair is what Mike feels looking at this difference every day, while Dave doesn't even notice it exists. By the end of this video, you will understand why market growth and your empty payroll card are not a contradiction, but the same story. You will learn what it means to live in a K-shaped economy, and why this word will soon be in every headline. And most importantly, you will get a plan on how to end up not at the bottom of this letter K, but at the top, even if you are far from a millionaire. Remember one more word, right now, without explanations. Anshin, a Japanese word. We will return to it at the very end. And believe me, it will be more important than all the numbers you will hear next. But first, let's figure out who is actually standing in line at the pawn shop today, and why these are completely different pawn shops than your parents had. 20 years ago, a pawn shop was the last stop before the bottom. People went there who had absolutely no other options left. Today, a pawn shop is the first stop for a person who has run out of cash and whose credit card is maxed out. Mike is 34 years old. He is a warehouse manager, making $75,000 a year. By all measures, a stable, normal life. Mike has a car, an apartment on a mortgage, 2 kids in kindergarten. On paper, his income is higher than 80% of the country, but at the end of the month, Mike has $30 left in his account. And that's in a good month. Rent went up. Groceries went up in price. Car insurance went up. The salary went up on paper, but real purchasing power fell. When the washing machine broke, Mike didn't have $500 spare dollars, and he took the only valuable thing he had to the pawn shop, his personalized tool set. That very morning, when Mike stood in line, Dave opened his broker app and saw a plus of several $1,000s to his portfolio for the month. Not because he is a genius, simply because he owned stocks at a time when stocks were rising. Mike is no exception. He is a statistic, a person with an above-average income caught in a cash flow gap due to inflation. And here appears a concept that you should remember forever. The K-shaped economy. Imagine the letter K. It diverges into 2 rays. One goes up, the other down. The top ray is the people who have assets. Stocks, real estate, business. When the market grows, their wealth grows on its own, simply because they own something. Dave is on this ray. The bottom ray is the people whose main asset is their salary. When prices rise faster than wages, they don't get richer. They slowly sink. Mike is on this ray. Previously, the economy moved as one line. It grew or fell roughly equally for everyone. Now it is split into 2 streams. One carries yachts, the other carries people who can barely keep their heads above water. And the cruelest part, both streams report the same official growth numbers. When the announcer says the economy grew by 3%, it's true. But that's an average number, and average numbers are the first lie we have been taught to live in. Imagine a room where 1 billionaire and 9 people with no income sit. The average income in this room is $100 million per person. It sounds like a room of rich people, but in reality, there are 9 beggars and 1 ultra-rich person. This is what the average metric does to reality. It hides those at the bottom behind the back of the one at the top. Therefore, when you hear the market is at its highs, the economy is growing. Ask yourself, growth of what and for whom? The market grows for those who own stocks. Dave owns stocks. Mike does not. Instead, he is tightly held by his own credit card. Here is the second truth that usually hides behind pretty headlines. The personal savings rate of Americans has dropped to 3.6%. This means that out of every $100 earned, the average person saves less than 4. The rest goes to living expenses. And this number continues to sink further. Previously, this figure was noticeably higher. People saved just in case. Now this case arrives faster than they can save. And when an emergency happens, an accident, a broken appliance, a trip to the doctor, people simply don't have a cushion left. Where do they go? To the credit card, to the pawn shop, and sometimes to their own pension. Yes, you heard that right. People have started taking money from their 401k retirement accounts early, paying taxes and penalties, just to avoid ending up on the street or to close a bill from the hospital. This means that a person is stealing from their future self to save their present self from eviction. But don't rush to write Dave off as a winner forever. The top ray of the letter K has its own dark side, and we will get to it soon. And now, the most alarming number in this entire video. It concerns not just Mike. It concerns practically anyone who has at least 1 credit card. We are entering the most painful room of this video, the mathematics of debt. For those who actually carry a credit card balance month after month, the average debt now stands at about $9,000 per household. Sounds like just a number, but behind it is an interest rate, averaging slightly over 21% annually. 21%. If you pay only the minimum, the bank takes almost $2,000 a year from you, just in interest without a single dollar of the principal debt. This is not a penalty for one bad month. This is a machine that works against you every day without weekends. And now imagine Sam. Sam heard some great advice. Invest as early as possible. Let compound interest work for you. Sam opens a brokerage account and sets aside $500 a month into an index fund. Good job, you say? Wait. Sam at the same time has a debt hanging at the same 21%. The stock market averages about 10% annually over the long term. A good result for a person without debt, but debt costs Sam 21%, while investments earn 10%. It turns out that every year Sam loses about 11% of net difference, simply because he simultaneously borrows expensively and invests cheaply. Imagine filling a bathtub with water through the tap, but the drain is open wider than the tap itself. Water flows, the tub looks like it's filling up, but the water level is actually dropping. This is what happens to Sam's money. He sincerely believes he is investing in his future, but in reality, he is simply subsidizing the bank. Here is a strict rule that you should make a law for yourself. If you have debt more expensive than 12 to 15%, investing new money at the same time is mathematical suicide. Not moral, literally mathematical. Paying off a debt at 21% is, in essence, an investment with a guaranteed return of 21% a year. Show me a fund that offers this without risk. It doesn't exist. This does not mean that investing is bad. It means that your money has a queue in which it must solve problems. And expensive debt stands in this queue ahead of the most brilliant stock idea. Remember Mike from the pawn shop. He has the same problem as Sam, only without a cushion and without a brokerage account at all. Mike doesn't invest incorrectly. Mike simply has no reserve. Every shock hits hard, either a credit card or a pawn shop. And here, another lie we've been taught to believe is revealed. Earn more, and the problem will solve itself. Mike's income is above the national average. This didn't save him from going to the pawn shop. It's not about income, but the gap between income and mandatory expenses. This gap is called a financial buffer. For the top of the letter K, it's wide. For the bottom, it approaches 0. The closer the buffer is to 0, the easier any accident turns into a disaster. A blown tire turns not into a $200 nuisance, but into a choice between gas for work and groceries for the week. And now, Dave's promised dark side. He has stocks, a house, and a good salary. And also, a loan for a kitchen remodel at the same 21%, which he's in no hurry to pay off because the portfolio is growing. Dave sometimes doesn't sleep at night either. Not because he has no money, but because he has no order. Assets are growing, but alongside them, debt is quietly growing, eating up part of this growth. Here's the formula for this gap. Assets grow on market percentages, debts grow on bank percentages, and wages grow on percentages that are usually below inflation. 3 different speeds, and which side of each you are on determines your future more than the size of your salary. This does not mean that hard work is useless. It means that work alone is not enough if a debt at 21% is working against you alongside it, whether you are Mike or Dave. The good news is this math works both ways. It is ruthless to debt, but just as ruthlessly fair to the one who starts paying it off. It's time to move from diagnosis to treatment. The solution here is not to find a secret stock that will bring 50% a year. Such a stock does not exist on a consistent basis. The solution is in the order of actions, in the queue where you place your dollars. Step 1. Stop the bleeding. Before thinking about investments, you need to stop sinking deeper. This means temporarily postponing the idea of investing $500 a month if you have a debt growing at 21%. I know it sounds counterintuitive. You were told, start investing as early as possible. It's just that no one clarified. If you don't have toxic debt. Step 2. Create a small reserve buffer before attacking the debt with all your might. Not $10,000. $1,000 to $2,000 is enough. This small buffer is not about wealth. It's about a blown tire not turning into a new cycle of credit card debt. It's like an oxygen mask on an airplane. First, you put it on yourself. Step 3. After the small buffer, you throw all free money at the debt with the highest rate. Not the one that is largest in amount, but the one that is most expensive. This is called the avalanche method. It saves the most money over the entire repayment period. If quick wins are more psychologically important to you, there is the snowball method. Smallest debts first. Both work if you don't drop them halfway. Step 4. Only when the toxic debt is paid off do you return to investing. And now every dollar truly works on your side. This is not a call to never invest. This is a call to first win a guaranteed fight before entering an unguaranteed one. Along the way, there will be temptation. Ads will call you to invest right now. Don't miss the market growth. This is noise. Your main market right now is your own credit card balance. And to Dave, the same plan says something else. Pay off the kitchen loan ahead of schedule, even if the portfolio is growing beautifully on the screen. Guaranteed savings on the interest rate are more important than pretty numbers in an app. Now for some psychology. Because all this math is useless if the head can't handle it. People don't get into debt because they are stupid. The brain is simply wired this way. It vastly overestimates today's pleasure and vastly underestimates tomorrow's pain. When you buy something on credit, the brain gets a dose of pleasure right now. And the reckoning is put off until later when the bill arrives. It's like eating a whole cake today and only feeling the stomach ache tomorrow morning. The pleasure and the bill are separated in time, and the brain is easily tricked by this. Advertising, credit cards, buy now, pay later. All this is built exactly on this weakness of the brain, and it's not a coincidence, but a whole business model. Knowing this, you can trick your own brain. For example, temporarily remove the card from your wallet until your reserve and debt are in order. Small technical barriers reduce the number of impulsive decisions stronger than any willpower. And now, that very word I asked you to remember at the very beginning. Anshin. Money itself is not the goal. A number in an account does not make a person calm, neither Mike nor Dave. Anshin is a deep inner peace. The feeling that whatever happens tomorrow, an accident, illness, job loss, you will withstand it without falling apart. It's not about an expensive car or luxury watches. It comes from money in the bank that you can live on without panic for a few months, and the absence of debt that chokes you at night. Think about Mike from the beginning of the video. If he had a reserve of $2,000, the trip to the pawn shop simply wouldn't have happened. The broken washing machine would have remained a normal household nuisance. And now think about Dave. His portfolio grows every day. And yet at night he is slightly eaten away by the debt for the kitchen. Anshin does not appear automatically from account growth. Anshin is not the absence of problems. Problems will always be there. It's the absence of panic at the moment a problem occurs. And here is a paradox that many miss. The pursuit of wealth without this calmness often makes people more anxious, not less. A person with a high salary, but with an inflated lifestyle and debts, may fear the future more than a person with a small income, but with a reserve and no debts. Because anshin is not measured by the size of the salary or portfolio. It is measured by the gap between what you have and what you owe. The upper part of the letter K is not always richer in soul. It is often richer only on paper, and just as anxious if it lives lavishly, like Dave with his kitchen. And the bottom part of the letter K can rise, not through one lucky jump, but through a sequence of small, boring, unromantic decisions, reserve, debt repayment, and only then, growth. In this order, and not vice versa. Money in this sense is not the goal. Money is a tool used to buy freedom, opportunities, and time. Freedom to choose a job not out of fear, but out of desire. Opportunities to say yes to a good chance because there is a reserve. Time not to count every minute of life tied to a paycheck. This is what is actually hidden behind the S&P 500 records and the record profits of pawn shops, two different answers to the same question. What will you do when life tests you? The one who has a reserve and no toxic debt meets the test with anshin, whether he has $1 million in his account or just 2,000 stashed away. The one who only has a salary, a credit card at 21%, and zero order meets it with a pawn shop, even if his name is Dave, not Mike. The difference between these people is not decided in one day. It is decided by thousands of small choices you make every month. So if you don't have much to be proud of in your account today, exhale. It's not that you're late. The point is which step you will start with tonight. A small reserve, then the most expensive debt, then growth. Don't compare your first step with someone else's 100th step. Sam, Mike, Dave, and millions of people in both parts of the letter K also once started from zero or a minus. The difference is not in the starting point. The difference is whether they turned towards anshin or continue to drift with the buy now, pay later current. Close this video not with numbers in your head, but with one specific action. Open your bank app right now and look at your most expensive debt rate. Just look. Don't panic. Don't blame yourself. This is the first step to stop being part of the statistics and start being part of the solution. The market will set new records. Pawn shops probably will too. But your personal economy does not have to repeat the path of the bottom part of the letter K. It can turn towards that very quiet, boring, but real freedom, anshin. On the Wicks Wealth channel, we will return to this topic again and again, because living in a K-shaped economy is not a one-time victory, but a skill that is trained. If this video opened your eyes to your own balance, that is already a victory. Next, it's up to the choice you make tonight. My name is Wick, and until next time, remember, money is not the goal. Money is the tool of your freedom. Use it consciously, and the letter K will stop being a sentence. It will become just the letter with which your own path to peace begins. Thank you for watching, friends. I'm Wick, the Candleman. Stay smart, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.